At the beginning of the movie, we are introduced to Manko Kapak, a nightclub owner who left Albania years ago and rebuilt his entire life in the shadows of organized crime. On the surface, he's just a successful businessman running one of the busiest clubs in the city. Underneath, he's the man cartels trust to make their dirty money disappear. He's got the lifestyle to match a beautiful young girlfriend named Sunny, respect from dangerous people, and more cash than he knows what to do with. But none of it means anything the night his body finally gives out on him. Manko collapses from a heart attack, and in the hospital bed, a doctor tells him something no criminal ever wants to hear. Slow down, or the next one kills you. For a man who has spent his whole life staring down danger without blinking, this warning should mean nothing. But it's Sunny who plants the real seed. She doesn't want a funeral. She wants a future, a quiet one, somewhere far from cartel money and bullet holes. And for the first time in his life, Manko actually considers walking away. But we quickly learn Manko isn't the only person in this story hiding a dangerous secret. Across town, we meet Jeff, a university professor barely scraping by on his salary. To make ends meet, he's been secretly ghostwriting essays for struggling students, a small, quiet crime that's about to blow up in his face. One of the papers he sells belongs to the son of a corrupt police officer named Schlosser. When the essay backfires and the kid loses his scholarship, Schlosser doesn't just get angry, he decides Jeff now owes him. And he's going to make sure Jeff pays that debt in full, whether he likes it or not. Back at the club, Manko starts trying to actually change his life. He's swimming laps every morning, choking down fruit for breakfast instead of whatever greasy meal he used to grab at 2 a.m., and generally confusing the hell out of everyone who works for him, especially his loyal right-hand man, Spence, who has genuinely never seen his boss act like a functioning human being before. Around this time, Manko meets with a smooth businessman named Joe Carver, who wants to buy the nightclub. Joe seems a little too curious about why a man running such a profitable business suddenly wants out, but Manko isn't about to explain himself to a stranger. He names his price and lets Joe walk away to think it over. Here's the twist: the movie drops early, and it changes everything. Joe isn't a businessman at all. He's an undercover FBI agent, running a surveillance operation out of a storefront directly across from Manko's club, quietly building a case that reaches far beyond one nightclub owner. Meanwhile, a courier named Irina shows up at the club carrying laundered cash on behalf of cartel boss Miguel Rodriguez. Manko knows better than to let anyone, even someone who works for the cartel, know he's planning his exit. One wrong word here could get both him and Sunny killed. Then comes the moment that kicks the entire plot into motion. That night, while walking to make a deposit with the laundered money, Manko is ambushed. A masked man steps out of the darkness, gun raised, demanding the cash. Manko stays eerily calm, even tries to talk the guy down, but the stranger is too desperate, too scared, and too far in over his head to listen. He knocks Manko to the ground, grabs the money, and disappears into the night. That masked robber? It's Jeff. Left without the laundered money and unable to explain the loss to the cartel, Manko does the only thing he can. He replaces it out of his own pocket and quietly reports the robbery to the police, hoping nobody digs too deep. Guess who shows up to investigate? Officer Schlosser himself, the same man blackmailing Jeff. He tells Manko that random masked robberies are basically impossible to solve, and almost mockingly advises him not to let minor incidents disrupt his life. Back with Jeff, we discover something even more twisted. Schlosser isn't just extorting Jeff for money he's owed. He's now using him as his personal thief, forcing him to keep stealing to cover his son's tuition. Jeff, terrified and desperate not to end up ruined, tries to skim a little money off the top for himself before handing the rest over. Big mistake. At the bank, trying to deposit his cut without raising flags, Jeff picks what he thinks is the safe teller, a cheerful woman named Carrie. Instead, he accidentally triggers every red flag in the book by depositing exactly $9,999, just below the amount that would automatically get reported. Carrie notices immediately, but instead of calling the police, she does something far more dangerous. She slips her number onto his receipt and tells him to meet her later. This is where the story takes its darkest turn toward chaos. At dinner, Carrie reveals she doesn't want to report Jeff. She wants in. Years stuck behind a bank counter have left her craving exactly this kind of danger, and she's not taking no for an answer. When Jeff tries to explain she's got the wrong idea, she threatens to expose both the deposit and the robbery unless he lets her join him. Cornered, Jeff has no choice but to agree, And just like that, a terrified amateur thief gains a reckless, thrill-seeking partner in crime. Back at the club, tension spikes even higher. Cartel boss Miguel Rodriguez shows up personally, wanting answers about the robbery. He's not buying the idea that Manco was targeted at random. Manco, thinking fast, repeats the same line. Schlosser fed him just a minor incident, nothing to worry about. Miguel lets it go, for now, but makes it painfully clear that a second mistake will not be tolerated. That second mistake comes almost immediately. Jeff and Carrie return to ambush Manco again at the same deposit spot, except this time, Carrie is fully in her element, armed and thrilled by the danger, while Jeff can barely keep himself from shaking. When Manco arrives, confident the frightened robber from before would never come back, he's proven catastrophically wrong. Carrie fires a warning shot into the wall, grabs the cash, and the two of them bolt. Manco chases them through the streets in his car, guns blazing, but ends up crashing and watching helplessly as they vanish into the night. For Manco, this isn't just about the money anymore. It's the first time he's truly felt his age catching up to him, the first crack in the armor of a man who always thought he was untouchable. Meanwhile, Jeff and Carrie are riding an adrenaline high from the successful robbery, and Carrie, completely unfazed by the violence, kisses him mid-drive and tells him to head straight to a hotel to celebrate. The next morning, everything starts to unravel faster. Schlosser learns there were two robbers this time, not one, and demands answers from Jeff, who's too hungover from the night before to even answer his phone. Meanwhile, undercover agent Joe gets electrifying news. The FBI finally has enough funding to top Manco's asking price for the club, putting them one step closer to seizing control of the entire operation from the inside. Then Jeff wakes up to find Carrie gone, and when she finally returns, she delivers the worst possible update. She gambled away every single dollar from the last robbery. Just like that, the money meant to save Jeff's future is gone, and Schlosser is closing in, demanding payment immediately, including the money Jeff secretly kept for himself. Jeff is now trapped between a corrupt cop who could destroy his life and a reckless partner spiraling completely out of control. Desperate, Carrie convinces Jeff that robbing the streets is no longer enough. They need to hit the nightclub directly. Jeff, out of options and out of time, reluctantly agrees to what will become the most violent night of the entire film. But before that happens, the story throws its biggest gut punch yet. Late that night, Irina urgently tells Manco that Miguel Rodriguez wants to see him immediately. Manco assures Sonny it's nothing to worry about, but the FBI surveillance team notices the sudden meeting and immediately alerts Joe, who follows at a distance, sensing something is about to go horribly wrong. Halfway to the meeting, Manco pulls over and confronts Irina, demanding to know what Miguel actually wants. When she pulls a gun on him instead of answering, Manco does something remarkable. He doesn't panic. He calmly, coldly lays out exactly how badly this would go for her. The blood, the taxi driver who'd remember her face, the fact that Miguel himself would silence her the moment she became a loose end. It works. She lowers the gun and admits the truth. Miguel just wants privacy for their conversation. At the mansion, Miguel wastes no time delivering thinly veiled threats about how thoroughly he tracks everyone connected to his operation. Then he asks the question that's been hanging over the entire film: why do these robberies keep happening specifically to Manco? Manco tries the same excuse that worked before. This time, it doesn't. Miguel signals his men, and in one of the most intense scenes in the movie, they force a bag over Manco's head, ready to end him right there. He's seconds from death when a rock shatters a nearby window, creating just enough chaos for Manco to grab a weapon and fight his way out, killing several of Miguel's men in the process. It's Joe who threw that rock, though Manco never finds out who saved his life. With Irina begging for mercy and swearing silence, Manco lets her go, sets the mansion on fire to erase the evidence, and disappears into the night. Back at the club, everything is falling apart. Believing Manco is dead, Spence panics and tries to steal the cartel's money before anyone can stop him. Sonny tries to talk him down while inching toward a hidden gun, but Spence gets there first, forcing her into a chair and taping her down. That's exactly when Jeff and Carrie storm in. Carrie fires warning shots to clear the room, and in the confusion, Sonny manages to blind Spence with pepper spray and break free. Spence fires blindly, missing everyone, but Carrie doesn't miss. She shoots him dead almost on instinct, immediately freezing in horror at what she's just done. She never meant to kill anyone. Jeff grabs her and the stolen money and drags her out before the situation gets even worse. In the car, Carrie completely falls apart. Overwhelmed with guilt, calling the cash blood money, she starts throwing it out the window, piece by piece. As Jeff tries to stop her, he loses control of the car entirely. It skids off the road and explodes, killing him instantly. Carrie survives, stumbling away from the wreckage in total shock, only to come face to face with a wild bear on the roadside. It simply walks away. Moments later, police finally catch up to her, and under interrogation, she confesses everything: the robberies, the murder, and Schlosser's blackmail scheme from the very beginning. Back at the club, Sunny sits in stunned silence after being questioned by police until her phone rings. It's Manco, alive, telling her to meet him and Spence at a private airfield so they can finally leave the country. He has no idea Spence is already dead. Desperate for the money he was promised, Schlosser secretly follows Sunny to the airfield. At the same time, Joe trails Manco. Sensing this is where everything finally comes to a head. When Manco and Sunny reunite, Schlosser appears with a gun, accusing them of fleeing the shooting and demanding money in exchange for their freedom. Just as things are about to explode into violence, Joe steps in, exposing Schlosser as the man behind the entire robbery scheme from the start. A shootout erupts. In the chaos, Manco manages to strike Schlosser from behind, turning his own weapon against him. Police swarm the airfield moments later, temporarily detaining Manco and Sunny for questioning. In the final confrontation of the film, Joe meets privately with Manco, laying out the full investigation. He asks if Manco has ever met the mysterious cartel figure known only as El Burro. Manco honestly says no, but everyone in the underworld knows the name Miguel Rodriguez. Satisfied, Joe hands over their passports and reveals the full truth. The FBI never wanted Manco. They wanted the club as a way to trace the cartel's money straight to the top of the organization. With both Miguel and Schlosser gone, the story set up to look like Schlosser killed Miguel and then took his own life. The entire case quietly closes itself. Manco, finally free of the criminal life that nearly destroyed him twice, walks away with Sunny to start over, far from cartels, corrupt cops, and the nightclub that once ran his entire world. And that's the ending of one of the most twisted, high-stakes crime thrillers we've broken down on this channel. If this recap kept you hooked from start to finish, that's exactly the kind of storytelling we're here to bring you every single week. And honestly, if you're not subscribed yet after sitting through this entire breakdown, you're missing out on recaps just like this one landing in your feed the moment they drop. Hit that subscribe button now so you never miss the next one. And drop a comment below telling me, would you have trusted Carrie, or did you see the betrayal coming from the start? See you in the next recap.